Is this somebody? I'm Janice Veloso, and I'm an instructor at Bristol Community College, and I teach personal and community health. And today we're here at Cook Pond to look at the built environment in the area, and we're going to look at the path that's being created. Last week we went out to the Southeastern Bioreserve, and we went out and explored the paths around the bioreserve, and we're comparing the two properties as to what they have to offer for the citizens of Fall River. And what we would like to do is we were out at the bioreserve last week, and we want to compare the two properties. So the bioreserve is really beautiful and has beautiful trails, but there's not a whole lot of accessibility to the citizens. So we're comparing the built environment of the two properties.
So this project, there's been a great deal of interest in Cook Pond by the neighborhood associations that surround it. So there's the Father Kelly, Maplewood, and South End neighborhood association. Anybody here live in Fall River? Okay, so that's how Fall River is kind of organized, is by its neighborhood associations. Under this mayor, these have become even more active, and he has really given them a voice that he hears and responds to. Now, my job as Mass Emotion Coordinator is to find ways that the city can make some changes that will encourage people to be physically active. And one way would be to get them to know about and to utilize the bioreserve, the Southeastern Mass Bioreserve that you were at. But taking urban people over to woods, I mean, you know, I think most people think of the urban area as dangerous. But people who have always lived in cities and are used to urban issues get frightened when they go out into the woods. So I'm really interested in what they've done in the city of Worcester that also has lots of open space. And they've done something called, they take the forest into the city. So they might bring a huge log into, you know, a fair, a festival, or a schoolyard, or whatever, and then they'll use a chainsaw and make something interesting out of it, or the kids can play on it. It's a whole idea of natural parks where you would use natural items rather than big playground edifices for kids to play more naturally, use their imaginations. So that was some of the ideas that's going, and people who were interested in this project. This project, when I saw this pond tucked away here, I thought, oh my gosh, what a resource. This is a very congested, built-up area of Fall River, and what resources are available for people to walk and to see nature. And this is a perfect place for that to happen. Problem with it is the bioreserve, in terms of infrastructure or policy, has been preserved into perpetuity by the government, and it now is protected. It is protected land. It's 14,000 acres, I believe. It includes the Freetown State Forest, this whole part of Fall River, and the Copacut area, which is part of Dartmouth. And so that is preserved. This, on the other hand, is owned by as many people. I don't know about the pond, but the abutting land is owned by as many places as possibly could be fit in. So you have the city owns this section because of the school department. There's an easement that's been granted to the National Grid. So these are the people that you have to deal with in order to create this pathway. Pathway around the whole pond would be 3.5 miles. Perfect walking distance for anyone who's, you know, trying to get in shape or trying to be more physically active. So National Grid has an easement. They are the most difficult owners or users to deal with. You have this is a private entity. Next to it is the state, has a boat ramp. Next to that is more National Grid. Then there's the National Guard, which is a federal program. So, and then you continue to go around, and there are mill buildings, and then there's public, there's housing, and then there's a restaurant. One place that has been restored is over the line in Rhode Island, where the Bourne Mill was changed into housing, apartments, and has a beautiful roadway that gives a beautiful view of the pond. So that's the first thing. For 4 years, I would say, myself and a few others have been working on getting permission from the owners, developing a conversation with the owners to allow public access. That's number one. Number two is that I got involved in urban park advocates through an organization called the Trustees of Reservations. How many of you have heard of the Trustees of Reservations? Anybody?
Should be everybody after last week.
The Trustees is a statewide organization about 100 years old. Its only purpose is to preserve and protect beautiful places in Massachusetts. And it has done that, and it has started in kind of these very, in very pretty wealthy communities or rural communities. But their focus, their actual initiative was to work in urban areas. So with the Trustees of Reservations, I have been able to not only do work on ownership and right of public access, but also they have a summer program called the Youth Conservation Corps. And it's high school students, and they are trained and supervised, and they come down to a variety of projects in both cities, in New Bedford and Fall River, and they help on the Westport farm, the town farm in Westport, produce unbelievable amounts of food that's donated to the cities for distribution. But last year, they worked on creating this pathway. And I have to tell you that the first day I came down to meet them, their first day here, there's about 10 of them, probably maybe a dozen, all high school students. This was a forest, it was just a jungle. It was like, look that way or look this way. There was nothing, you couldn't see anything. There was plenty of poison ivy. There were bees. There are, I don't know if there's snakes, but there's everything else to cause, and plus 95-degree heat. And I thought, oh my gosh, these kids are going to quit. Well, I came back, I'd say 2 days later, and this pathway, not this wide, of course, but the pathway where you see the sand had been cut out from here right down to the water. It was extraordinary what those kids did in 2 days and in that heat. And then what happened over the course of the summer, they came here 1 day a week, and they cut the pathway out 1 day a week. If they had any extra time, like one project fell through or whatever, the leader would say to them, where would you like to go to spend the day working? And they would always say, we want to go back to Cook Pond. So the sense I got from them was they loved the work. They loved what they were revealing, by this work. But also they really felt like they were contributing to the community, that they were making something accessible and available that many people don't even know exists in this city. What you see right now is that the city has come in, and they had a shredder, and so they were able to widen this part that goes down to the water. Then we'll walk around, and I don't know if we'll have time to go over to the boat ramp, but I will say that in the next perhaps 12 months, certainly 24 months, the boat ramp, which is a little ways from here, walking through the woods on the pathway that the kids developed, is a fishing ground. It's owned by the state. It's got a big parking lot. It's got a boat ramp. It used to have a fishing pier. That is going to be all rebuilt by the State Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. And the city is going to make the roadway. Currently it's a dirt road. So you take your car, the life of your car in its hands when you drive down there. But that will be laid, a roadway will be laid. So we're really looking at an area that in the next 2 years could be something that at least these students in this Henry Lord School could take advantage of to learn about science, environmental studies, art. They could do artwork in there, they could do phys ed, they could do community service by keeping it clean and all of those kinds of things. So that's the potential. The other side of it is that if we don't keep on top of it, what will happen, and again this is about infrastructure, is that this will quickly become overgrown again. So it's on us to keep moving ahead with this project.
Oh, these are nice. Yeah, ticks.
It's all overgrown. Some of the trees you can see in here.
Any of my grades.
Gray leaves and shiny. That's not gray leaves and shiny.
People come down here for possibly illicit activity, drug use, drinking, hanging out, homeless people setting up tents and the like. We'll either see a lot of that, or maybe by the use that this path is getting, we're seeing a reduction of that. So I just wanted to sort of warn you, but also alert you. Already. That's it. So that's what you might find as we go along. So, okay?
Now, how's the water quality in this pond? Real bad, or?
And they use it for runoff, I think. However, I've also seen some history that said that this is a man-made pond. So I don't quite know. They, at one point, took all of the fish. There were a lot of perch in here. And the state decided that it should be a fisherman's paradise, and they came in and they killed all of the fish. And along the banks of the pond here, there's buried fish. When they killed them all, they scooped them out, dug a hole, and put the fish in the hole. And now they have bass here. And if you look online, there's a lot of comments about how great the fishing is here.
Oh, so there's good fish.
But it's a catch and throw back.
Yeah.
You can't keep them.
Do people go swimming in this pond at all, or?
They used to.
Yeah.
This used to be a recreational facility for the city, and people spent a lot of time down here. But if you look around, you can see that it's not easily accessible.
No.
I mean, you can see all the buildings.
It's
I
all
took
cut
some
off.
pictures over at that mill building
Yeah.
over there, and I mean, it's horrendous as you come back. I mean, the trash, and there's fence. I was over at McGovern's the other day, which is over here on the left.
Okay.
And that is beautifully landscaped all the way down to just about 4 feet in front of the water, and then they have a fence there. Over to the left is the Bourne Mill that and over there it's absolutely gorgeous. I've eaten them since we've talked. I've eaten them,
Yeah.
and you can pick them and eat them. And there's a little tiny seed, but you can eat the whole thing.
Yeah, you can make them into fruit leather. That's how I learned about it from this Russ Cohen, who's written a book about plants I have known and eaten. And these trees are planted by the Department of Transportation all along the highway because they're very pretty, they're silvery looking. So there's tons of this fruit around this time of year.
And
He's actually a tiger musky.
let's go back behind the
There's an article in the field and shit.
Yeah, you went right through my whole yard.
This is actually a nice place, Ben.
I recommend too coming back in the winter because you wouldn't believe what kind of wildlife you see in here, but all of this foliage, keeps you from really seeing the great blue herons, the swans, the geese, all kinds of
Yeah,
wildlife.
well, pretty soon, another month or so.
Yeah.
They'll
All
all
the leaves
out
will be
there.
down, yeah.
So look how beautiful over here, the water, the grass is. So that's the fear. See, that's what we want to not happen.
I didn't know.
Is that the fear of having places that are clean and are used by the public, you don't get fearful, right? Because you're used to seeing people. But if, you know,
I had
places
knives
that
though
are in-
because they were doing the stuff with the fish, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta go.
but places that are kept in disrepair, you know, people become fearful to go there. Because the wrong people go. And so the more people, they're having a great time.
He's in there.
So the more people that access places like this, the safer it becomes. Think about how great this place could be. Vision the possibility. And so thank you so much for helping to clean up, and we're going to go that way. Come on through.
I'll follow my jacket.
Come on, you can do this.
My dad was a hunter. He said I could only
I
eat
am a
those
hunter.
all afternoon.